Haki is arguably the most controversial power system in anime. Some people think it reduces battles to simple clashes of willpower while pushing the more creative devil fruits to the side. Others argue that it completes the power system, seeing it as a needed equalizer that ensures fights aren't just decided by who has the better devil fruit. Wherever you stand in this debate, we can all agree that Haki is the most broken ability in One Piece. Haki mastery turns you into somewhat of a god in battle, letting the user defeat enemies with a single glare, see into the future, and probably the most important aspect in the One Piece world, to nullify devil fruit powers, no matter how strong. Without it, legends like Shanks, Roger and Mihawk could never have risen to the top in a world of magical abilities. Before we get into the different levels, we need to understand what Haki is exactly. Whilst trying to teach Luffy, Rayleigh explained Haki as the ability to sense spiritual energy and use it to overpower enemies. So in short, Haki is willpower made real. It turns your ambition, focus and fighting spirit into actual power. It's not a magic trick, it's the manifestation of your drive to survive, fight and conquer. So after that quick refresher, let's start with level 1, the sleeping power. Before we talk about black lightning and punches that delete trees from the inside, we need to address the bottom floor of the Haki apartment building. Dormant Haki is the untouched, factory default version of Haki. As Rayleigh stated, it is a power everyone is born with, but 99% of people never access. To make a real-world example, most people are born with great potential, but only a few ever reach it. If you've ever been to the gym in the first week of January, you know what I mean. This level is basically your standard survival instinct. No training, no awareness. Most people in the four blues, pirates, marines, shopkeepers, random goons that are so weak it almost gets comedic. They all technically have Haki, but none of that is conscious. It's like a baby bird flapping its wings and accidentally hovering for half a second. Impressive, maybe. Controlled, no. I have also reserved a special place for Usopp in this level. This man somehow forgot how to use Haki. He had such a clutch moment in Dressrosa when he awakened observation Haki, and then he has never used it again. Why? I love you bro, but you're only helping the anti-Usopp agenda when you do stuff like this. Also, it's kinda funny that pre-time skip CP9 technically sit at this level, as far as we know anyway. So why did I even include this level? Because Haki, not counting conquerors, is democratic. Everybody gets it, but mastery is merit-based. Level 2, the initiates. These characters have figured out how to turn the power button on. They are people who technically use Haki, but only in the same way someone who can make a free throw thinks they're good at basketball. At this level, observation Haki is in its most basic form. Basically just a motion detector. You're probably not sensing emotions yet, and you're definitely not seeing the future. Armament is the weakest possible version of hardening. It's more like putting on a cheap chainmail than full armor. It might protect you from a drizzle, but the moment an actual storm hits you, aka someone with real Haki, you're done. And on this level, using armament also comes with stamina issues. 1 or 2 hits and these guys are on life support. But credit where credit is due. They're still miles above civilians, East Blue Father and anyone who thinks devil fruits are the only thing that matters. Look at NL's priests in Skypiea, like Satori and Shura. These guys walked around using observation Haki like it was normal Sunday service. Compared to New World standards, their mantra isn't that impressive, but it completely embarrassed the Straw Hats at the time. They had training and awareness. Then you got people like Tashigi and random Vice Admirals like Tosa. Man, I might have to make a video about Vice Admirals. They are laughably useless most of the time, except for Doll of course. Some of the Marines in this level can use both observation and armament, but only the most basic, regulation approved way. It's like they learn Haki in the same way people learn CPR, because their job forced them to. The absolute lowest of this level are the random Marines under Fujitora that knew armament. I guess it makes sense since they train hard, but they don't deserve that shit bro. The poster child of level 2 might be Bellamy in Dressrosa. The man had observation and armament, but they were both very tame versions. He might actually be the weakest dual Haki user in the story. Bellamy's hardening was basically black nail polish. It looked cool, but it wasn't scaring anybody. If you also want to learn Haki, make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. If you do, I can guarantee that you will wake up with at least one type of Haki tomorrow. Level 3, skilled combatant infants, and unborn kings. Now we're getting into the real fighters. Level 3 is where Haki stops being a flimsy beginner technique and becomes an actual weapon you can rely on. On the first side of this tier, you got the warriors who've trained their way to consistency. Their armament is solid, maybe not beautiful, but they can absolutely depend upon it. Virgo is a perfect example. Phenomenal durability, terrible finesse, but full body armament is a pretty stupid fighting style. It must drain stamina quicker than I can say Red King. At this level, observation is reliable too. Their Haki isn't glitching, it's steady. Zoro and Sanji, right after the time skip, would fit here. They had good armament, solid observation, and enough consistency to hang with powerful New World fighters. But they weren't really pushing the limits yet. Then we get to the other side of this tier, the unborn kings. These are characters with Conqueror's Haki who haven't realized it yet and don't fully know how to control it. Think Marineford Luffy, knocking people out involuntarily, or young Doflamingo, radiating kingly will before he even understood it. Their raw ceiling and 1 in a million potential puts them here. Luffy's later feat on Fishman Island, where he unleashed his spirit to knock out 50,000 fishmen, is the absolute ceiling of power in this tier, because even if they may not fully realize their power, a Conqueror's user could in theory do this without it being their conscious goal. Level 4. The refined users. These are the fighters who've pushed their Haki past the beginner and intermediate stages and potentially learned advanced forms such as emission, but they haven't yet reached the point where everything is mastered. They might either be dangerously good at one specific type of Haki, or they have unlocked all 3 types but haven't pulled everything together. Take Sentomaru for example. The man's armament isn't just basic hardening, he masters emission. His defense and repelling force are absurdly strong, turning his palm strike into a concussive blast that pushes opponents away without touching them. He is one of the poster boys for this tier, proving that consistent mastery of one advanced Haki put you leagues above the lower levels. You could also take current Sanji, who's established himself as an observation expert, even though we haven't seen him use Conqueror's Haki yet. And then we have people that can actually use Conqueror's Haki, like Xin Yao and Doflamingo. Xin Yao's cock is barely a party trick. Well, that sounded weird. Well, Doflamingo has the presence of a king, but not offensive mastery to match it. Their wills are obviously strong, but they are either past their prime, or their Haki isn't fully weaponized yet. I also have to place Kid here along with them. He possesses all 3 forms, but we haven't actually seen him use Conqueror's Haki in the manga. I mean, you were given this godly power. Ever thought of maybe using it? Damn, I'm still thinking about Xin Yao's party trick, bro. Level 5. The New World Titans. Now this is where things start to get ridiculous. Level 5 is the realm of the Haki monsters. Fighters who have pushed past the specialist stage and developed multiple advanced techniques across the board. These aren't rookies, they aren't prodigies in training. These are the people you would expect to stare down Yonko commanders without flinching. The first major shift here is simple. Conqueror's Haki is now a requirement. The kingly will needs to be present. If your spirit isn't strong enough to impose itself on others, you aren't touching this tier. What pushes fighters into this level is their versatility. They don't just have one strong Haki, they have several. We're talking armament emission and internal destruction. Future sight, the beginnings of Conqueror's coating, and Haki strong enough to tilt an entire fight on its own. Take Katakuri, the gold standard observation user. Unlike, let's say, Sentomaru, he's not a one-trick pony though. Katakuri is competent in armament, he has terrifying will, and his future sight is so advanced it bends the pacing of battles. He's the purest modern example of someone who innovates inside the Haki system. Then there's post-Wano Zoro, whose armament borders on monstrous. For a swordsman, this leap comes from mastering the blade itself. To reach this level, users must handle weapons, in his case Enma, which aggressively drains armament Haki, forcing the user's spirit to grow strong, to be able to reinforce their blade constantly. This intense focus is how swordsmen forge black blades and channel their Conqueror's Haki, as we saw with King of Hell, when Zoro coated his swords in it. Though we found out in Elbaf that he didn't realize he had this ability, which led to a valid crash out from Scopper Gaban. But now that Zoro is aware, I think he can reach higher levels for sure. Yamato also sits comfortably here, boasting all 3 forms with impressive refinement and enough raw willpower to clash with Yonkos like her father Kaido. As for former admirals like like Kusan and Akainu. Their exact conqueror status is still unknown, but based on what we know about them, my guess is that they belong here, if not even higher. Level 6. The Skies Divide. This isn't just strong Haki anymore. This is refined Conqueror's Infusion, the most dangerous offensive amplifier in the entire series. These are the fighters whose blows land without even touching you, whose presence alone folds armies, whose clashes literally split the sky like the world is trying to get out of their way. But this level comes in 2 distinct stages, and the distinction matters. Stage 1. The Yonko level hybrids. These are the monsters who combine devastating devil fruit abilities with Conqueror's Haki coating, creating attacks so overwhelming that normal defenses might as well be wet cardboard. Their fruits amplify their arsenals, but it's the Haki that elevate them to the very top. Examples include Kaido. His Thunder Bagua with Conqueror's coating is basically a divine punishment. Big Mom is homie enhanced destruction personified, backed by kingly will. Then we got our boy, current Luffy, a living storm of armament conquerors and future sight, layered on top of Gear 5's insanity. Who knows what the limit will be for this guy. Stage 2. The pure Haki gods. But then, above even that, there are the legends who reach the same level without devil fruits. No elemental powers, no awakenings, no shortcuts. These are the characters that prove that Haki doesn't need a devil fruit. Haki is the fruit. Examples include Roger, the pure Haki fighter that conquered the Grand Line. Monkey D. Garp, the man who throws galaxies with his fists. Rox D. Sebek, the goat who clashed with King Harald and ended the life of an admiral. I will never forgive the sneaky little rat known as Garling. Shanks one-shotted a 3 billion berry bounty pirate who had just beaten another emperor. He is a sky-splitting Haki monster. Because they rely purely on willpower rather than supernatural abilities, their presence sits slightly above their hybrid counterparts. This is the apex of what a human or something close can become using spirit alone. Level 7. The first and final force. I would call this the peak above the peak, where Haki stops being a technique and becomes something ancient, overwhelming, and impossible to understand. Only Imu and Joy Boy stand here. Imu is the unseen ruler whose Supreme King Haki behaves like a natural disaster. When Imu possessed Gunko and unleashed their will, entire legions of giants collapsed instantly. But Imu's observation might be even more unreal, sensing individuals across the world and instantly identifying Joy Boy's Haki from a continent away. Imu doesn't use Haki, Imu radiates it like a global pressure system. And then we have Joy Boy, the one who might sit at the very top in all of One Piece history. His Supreme King Haki was so overwhelming that even Dory and Broggy, who witnessed countless legends, specifically said that it surpassed Shanks. Most terrifying of all, Joy Boy could tie his own Haki in a knot, preserving it for centuries. When that knot was undone, the resulting burst knocked out every marine around Egghead and even cancelled the Elder's monstrous transformations. This isn't your standard Conqueror's Haki where goons drop to the ground. This Haki had real effects on top tier fighters. And there we have it. Do you think Luffy will ever reach this level, or will they have to use something else to beat Imu? Let me know in the comments. I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Simon, who's been watching from day one and helping me with ideas. If you enjoyed this video, I can promise you that you will love these two. Thanks for watching.